busting through, making the tackle. Shaq Thompson for a 3-yard loss.
Shaq busting through. My goodness, and what we've seen is Norv Turner offense coming to fruition because Cam is actually a pocket quarterback. Who knew? Oh my goodness.
Tackle for Cameron, busting through at the 30, 35, 40. Quick race down the right side. Here he goes at the 50, 40 to the Miami 30, 20 at the 10. A swipe with the ankles. They can't get him. Touchdown, Christian McCaffrey.
They can't get him. They can't get him. You're right.
They can't catch him, but you can catch the C3 podcast on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. And can you dig it? We're here tonight on a new platform. We hope everybody it's working smoothly. We ask for your patience this evening, and I'm doing it tonight with my homeboys. Cody Lashney is in the house, my friend. How you doing?
What's going on, fellas? It's Tuesday night. We beat the Patriots. It doesn't even matter that it's in the preseason. We got something to feel good about. Let's rap, boys.
Joe Riolano, that freaking Puerto Rican, my best friend. How are you, my man?
All is good here, man. Thank God. I've been relishing this past victory, and really got some, I think, a hot question tonight. We'll talk about later. But let's get the show on the road.
Fantastic. Tonight's show is Panthers gain confidence and momentum and win over Patriots. It's episode 1830, and the Panthers did just that. They gained confidence and momentum in an impressive victory over the Patriots. We're going to break down the game, show you some plays that mattered, as well as talk about the continued growth of this team under Norv Turner and with Cam Newton at the helm. Your cat calls are coming up tonight, too. And, guys, if you've noticed, we're on a new platform. We've got a little new feature coming to the show. Can you dig it? Can you shindig it? It is Shindig. You can download the app. You can continue to watch on YouTube. We're also on Facebook Live tonight and Periscope. But you can continue to watch how and interact in the show as you have in the past. But if you want to up the ante and be a larger participant in the show, you can download the Shindig app. Our podcast pops up right on the homepage, or you can search the title, and you can pose questions. You can talk and IM among the audience, and you can even jump in the conversation, and we can spotlight you in the show. What we'll do is as we get more invested in Shindig, I think what I want to do is like a Can You Dig It session at the end where we cycle in like 10 people in 10 minutes or something like that, or 5 people in 10 minutes. But tonight we're just going to do the podcast and see what comes up. Fellas, the Panthers were firing on all cylinders. Norv Turner's offense looked crisp, and Cam has been efficient at running as long as he don't go all Christopher Reeves on us and break his dang neck. Cody, what happened in this game that made us all pause and go, holy cow?
Well, here's the good thing about Shindig, man. I don't have to talk about it. I can just show you.
To see him elevate here. Yep. Boom. Down.
Oh.
You don't want to see your quarterback hitting the ground like that, though.
No. And I thought that's part of the game, Rob.
Yeah,
he said
man.
He wants to stop doing to take
I swear, my whole body tensed up
run, but,
when I saw this,
twice, and then was like, all right, I guess I'll do
this
it.
This is an example of the many breaks we caught against New England in this game.
Say that one more time, Joe.
This is an example of one of the many breaks that we caught in the New England game. Because they should have had that fumble recovery.
Do you believe so, or do you think that the ground caused the fumble?
Well, the ground can only cause the fumble if he's actually touched. Was he touched before hitting the ground?
Ooh, I think so. Because that guy hit him in the knees or whatever.
Yeah, the defender took out his knees, and another thing is, Christian McCaffrey was wide open on the check down right there, and I think that's the point.
He was. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, they want Newton to be able to dump the ball off and be more efficient and get the ball to his weapons on the outside. And I mentioned this before. It seems that every time Cam Newton should suffer some sort of concussion, it only ends up being like an eye injury or a black eye or something like that. It happened in the Saints game in the playoffs last year. So listen, man, I'm happy that my quarterback is all right. He's healthy. It was a performance by him that was efficient. He moved the ball around well, got the ball to multiple different receivers. There was a lot to love.
Definitely.
Let me tell you how this panned out for me, guys, how I saw this. It was my mom's birthday dinner Friday night, and it's preseason, and your mama is most important. So I went to the dinner. We ate in a restaurant, in the restaurant part where there were no televisions at my brother-in-law's restaurant. I snuck out to go to the bathroom just to peek real quick. Went into the bar, walked in, and is Heineke. Is he number 4? I think he's number 4.
No,
I feel like
he's
that's
number,
right.
I think Gilbert's number 4, isn't it?
Okay,
Yeah,
whatever it
Heineke.
was, I walked out and I saw somebody playing quarterback that was not number 1. And I looked at the clock. I looked at the clock on the game, and it was early. And I said, "What in the world?" Nobody's freaking out that I can tell in the broadcast at that exact moment. And that I thought, this is a blessing. I thought, oh my God, the Panthers pulled something radical and sat Cam Newton and like all the starters in preparation because of the offensive line and what happened. So then I go back into the restaurant, and then we leave, and like everybody's talking outside the restaurant, and I'm looking through the window, like into the bar, to the TV, and I see Cam Newton in the game, and I go, oh my God, he might have been hurt. And then I get home, I watch the game, and it was terrifying to think, holy cow, Cam Newton, this is the type of thing that all the critics would say, Cam putting his body on the line. He can't last like this. And boy, if he would have gone down there, it would have been a tough, tough break for us.
It would have been very tough for us. I mean, our season goes the way of Cam Newton, man. And, I think even he knew that was a little bit much for preseason, but his body just kind of left his mind behind. So, I don't know, man. We have a lot to be thankful for. We got out of it. Other than that, and a few scary moments, there was a few negatives that we'll point out. But overall, I feel like we had a very promising showing against a team that had, I think, 6 sacks already in the preseason, and we didn't allow 1. So we did a good job on offense, and our defense, man, I'm loving this defense. There's a lot to love moving forward.
All right, so McCaffrey's beasting, guys. He looked good in this game. He looked great in Miami. He went first overall in one of the C3 fantasy football leagues.
Wow.
That's crazy. And it's awesome. I mean, I know it's a Panther fan league, but Joe, it's actually not as unrealistic, though, when you think about how much potential action he could get.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of potential, but man, the guys that are at the top of that list, they've proven themselves. I was going to take them in the first round at 8.
Right where we took them originally?
What's that?
Right where we took them originally in the draft at 8. Yeah, but a lot of good things. We're going to come back to the offense. Let's start with the defense, though. Is that you want to talk about optimism, guys? I am optimistic about this defense. Not only optimistic, I'm excited. In fact, I think we're 60 sacks in the making. I think Mario Addison has played lights out. Mario Addison has become a every down defensive end, which we needed desperately. Yes, a complete defensive end. He is strong against the run. He's climbing the line and stopping, getting in plays. He's holding good position. Then you've got, I think we saw what the full force of KK and of what Poe can do. And I think I got something here. Let me see if it's let me see if I got this. I'm pretty sure that we have. Guys, what did you see on the defense that you liked in this game?
For me, well, the most obvious thing, I guess, was Luke Kuechly. He was everywhere. It seemed like he made every tackle there for lack of quarter. I really believe at the end of his career, the Hall of Fame needs to make an exception, and as soon as he retires, he needs to go into the Hall of Fame. I don't think he needs to wait 5 years.
Forget the 5 years. Luke is special. Exactly. He's a different breed of human, and it's like, especially when you hear other fans of other teams and they talk about, I may not like Cam or I may not like whatever, but I love watching Luke Kuechly play football. And how did you not? He's on every play. He's setting up our defensive line. He's moving them in the right spots. He's literally engaged in mental warfare with the quarterback pre-snap. That guy on the field for us is such a difference maker, and he continues to blow our mind, even in his, 6th year? It's insane, man. Luke is like no one else.
No, he's definitely one of a kind in that league. Just speaking of Luke, let me talk about one of our favorite people in the entire sports industry, Colin Cowherd. He had the audacity to say Sean Lee is a better linebacker than Luke Kuechly. Can you believe that? He didn't put it in the
Was it Cowherd or Bayless?
Huh?
Was it Cowherd or was
it... It was him and Shane.
It was Skip Bayless. Here it goes, Joe. I think I got it right here.
Wrong on defense.
You're right. It was Skip.
That dude from Boston College?
Tom Brady was having a hard time.
That middle linebacker from Boston College?
No, he's good.
He ain't good. Don't do that, Skip.
He's not Sean Lee, but he's really good. He's not Sean Lee, but he's
Look at that face.
Really good. Not Sean Lee, but
that's from Sports 8. Channel 8, Sports Channel 8.
Skip, I can't even believe you said that with a straight.
All right. So, yes, we can believe that you said that with a straight face. Because that's how you are. The thing that drove me crazy about that, Joe, what drove me crazy is they didn't even know Luke Kuechly's name. They kept saying, the guy from Boston College? That boy from Boston College? That's what you say when you don't remember the name. How do you not remember Luke Kuechly's name? And who the hell is Sean Lee? That's what I don't. I don't even know what school Sean Lee went to. But I know Luke Kuechly went to Boston College. And I know Luke Kuechly had like 9 tackles in that game.
And also, let's not fail to mention that a stiff breeze put Sean Lee on IR, okay? The dude has played 1 season in its entirety, and that's it. What does it matter how good you are if you're not on the field to affect your team?
Right.
Absolutely. I think I'm super excited about this defense, Joey. What you got is this. Look, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like and what it's going to look like when only 4 men rush, where I thought I was. It took it away from me. You all still there?
I'm here.
All right. Well, I can't control the broadcast no more, so that's kind of crazy.
Do you have a plus on the left?
Yeah. Can you put on the only 4, Cody?
Yep. I got you.
So one of the things that I think that we're going to need to talk about is that, or see,
here we go.
Is that, there you go. I don't know how I got my broadcast. Now, this play right here is a 3rd down Play it one more time for us, Cody. The third down against the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, you don't get to him, but it took 6 people on the offense to block our 4 guys. And what you did is you had generated enough pressure and presence without having to use any linebackers or use any of the secondary at all in this game.
Right,
and that's what you're going to see this year.
You're
That is what
covering
you're gonna
4 with like 6 people, right? 7 people. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So nobody's open.
Exactly.
And
all right. So
and also think how important it is. That's what we wanted under Steve Wilkes. We were blitzing our linebackers, we were blitzing our safeties, and you know that left us vulnerable when it came time for them to pass the ball. You know, and we were getting burned all the time when we weren't getting to the quarterback with our blitzes. If we can affect the quarterback with a 4-man rush, we're golden. I mean, then you have our linebackers back in coverage. We already have the best coverage linebackers. Then you let Dante show out, let Bradbury show out. I feel much more confident about our defense now than I did at this time last year by a mile.
I agree. And,
yes, by a mile.
Sean,
by a mile.
Jackson really, really impressed. He took that job and made it his as a opposite side starting corner. I really believe he did.
Joey, this is again where you're going to see Mario Addison and Jackson together. What this front 4 does for this secondary is amazing. Look, Mario Addison gets there quick, hands up. Dante Jackson comes firing in there. He's pumped up, guys. He is pumped up. And look, what you have when you have a front 4 that can hold the run up the middle, that can generate pressure without having to use extra guys. We saw what happens. We saw this in 2015. We saw it when Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis were flying around the field without a care in the world about having other responsibilities, but reacting and reading the play. What this does is this gave a secondary. Look, you're talking about a secondary that was composed of James Bradbury, Dante Jackson, Deshaun Gaulden, Mike Adams, and Captain Munnerlyn. And Captain Munnerlyn continued to – he looked like the one that had the most trouble. I think James Bradbury looked the second that had the most trouble. The idea that I'm getting to here is that you're not even noticing guys like Dante Jackson. You're not even noticing guys like Rashawn Gaulden. And that's because their jobs have been easy so far. And they're going to continue to be easy as long as Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson now. It's Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson is the duo of this new era. And Shaq Thompson has been playing out of his mind as well. You throw in, like Victor says, or Corn Elder, and man, this defense is cooking. I would argue. Actually, one of the things I've been a little disheartened by, I don't think James Bradbury, his body language after the play that he missed on the right side of the field was not all that great. He looked frustrated, but that's okay. You know, you don't want to overly read into that. But boy, did he miss a tackle. He's a big dude. Why is he going at the ankles of this running back or whatever it was? Did you guys see that play where he missed? He dove at the guy and that running back just cut it inside. I think we're going to need more. Play. We need more out of James Bradbury, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And also their man function is different. So Dante Jackson is more of a man coverage corner, and Bradbury is more of a zone coverage type of guy. And again, I still don't know how much we plan to do a little bit of both. I have seen both man and zone from our defense, and I even noticed that we were able to make some adjustments. It was that fourth down. Tom Brady decided to go for it, and we were playing off the balls with such distance. It was really weird to me. But then in that same drive, they were able to, reconcile that. They were able to get back in man coverage, and we were able to make the stops. I do think that Bradbury, he doesn't have the right, the bravado that a cornerback normally has. If you think of Josh Norman or Dante Jackson, they're in your face type of dudes. They're not really shy, but Bradbury kind of is, man. I think this year is going to be a big year for him in proving that he can be that shutdown corner that he was supposed to be when we let go of Josh Norman, the man whose number he was wearing.
Guys, we appreciate everybody tuning in. The conversation in YouTube is going crazy right now. Carl Van says that it could have something to do with the tackling rule.
It's very true, man. There have been some dumb calls.
Yeah.
They did seem to pull it back some in week 3, though.
I got a question for you guys here. We're talking about defense, okay? What did you think of the performance by Shaq Thompson?
I loved it, man. I mean, the way he was attacking those holes and the gaps. I mean, he was better. I feel like in the run, he was better than Luke was. And Luke was more making the coverage plays. But, man, you could not run the ball on Shaq Thompson. His instincts look sharp. I mean, he looks like a guy that knows that the spotlight is going to be on him for the first 4 games of the season. I'm very impressed with what I've seen out of number 54.
Yeah,
he's been great. He's been tremendous, Joey. Like Shaq Thompson, you're starting to see the Shaq Thompson and the reason why this is what was supposed to happen 2 years ago. But Thomas, it wasn't. We don't even know if it was Shaq Thompson or not.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what Dave Gettleman thought he would see. And I think, to tell you the truth, this preseason may have been Thompson's coming out party. Like, hey, I'm taking this position. You know what I'm saying?
He said it's the year of the 54. He's been public about this in training camp.
He says he's been seeing the number everywhere.
He said he's been seeing the number everywhere.
Yeah, he said that before he went to Wofford, he was seeing 54 on signs and on license plates. He felt like it was synchronicity. He felt like he was being told that it was his year. It was the year of 54. And man, I am not here to argue with him, dude. If it's his year, I'll
playing like that. He really is.
I think we should pay him right now.
Whoa!
For real? No, I am a huge proponent of a team stepping in and throwing some money at a player earlier than he expected, and hopes that you catch it before the inflation rate hits up. You hit Shaq Thompson with the deal right now, you're talking about 2018 numbers, and I don't even know a linebacker who signed a big deal this year. You wait till next year, he's in his option or whatever, you then have to pay real market value. I think there's something to be said. I said we should have done this with Short. I think we should do it with Shaq. And that's where I'm at, is that these guys together are a crazy duo. And look, he's shown it already. He has shown through these 3 preseason games in camp that he came in focused. He has been on Twitter talking to fans, and he said this the other day. He's even getting better with dealing with fans, and he's kind of an introverted personality. He's not bombastic like I'm trying to think of maybe a Ray Lewis was a little bit, or he, I think, avoided crowds. I think he avoided the fans a little bit, and not like avoided them like being mean, But he said the other night, he said, look, sorry guys, on Twitter, he said, sorry fans, if I stop signing autographs, I'm trying to get home to my family as quick as possible.
Right.
Just coming out and saying that, I think tells us a little bit about what he's understanding about that relationship. Then I saw another tweet where a guy said, how many retweets do I need to get you to sign this Shaq Thompson jersey? And he said, none. Just mail it to the facility and I'll do it. This to me seems like a guy who's almost ready to step into the shoes of Thomas Davis on the field, but perhaps in the shoes in the locker room as well.
But it comes back to Thomas Davis. Now Thomas is saying he wants to stay another year, even after this one. It really is a tough situation, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we all love Thomas Davis, and I genuinely do feel that as Thomas has gotten older, he's become a better player than he was even when he was younger. But the fact of the matter is, and Tony, you say it all the time, you don't really see that many teams having three linebackers on the field at the same time. It's just not something that you see a lot of anymore. Most teams are comfortable with 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and then, three corners and 2 safeties. So, but it just depends on what we want to do on defense. If we end up moving in that direction, then yeah, man, we might have to pull Thomas aside and say, listen, we drafted Shaq Thompson for this purpose, and it's hard for him to fill into that role. I mean, as awkward as it might sound, if you're still here, so we have a lot of real tough decisions to make in our near future. But I also feel Thomas knows that. I mean, he's taken Shaq under his wing. He's been a mentor to Shaq Thompson. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But right now, I have no doubt in my mind that Shaq Thompson is a better linebacker at this point in the juncture than Thomas Davis.
I agree. Is that he looks good out there. He looks elite out there. Now, for Thomas Davis, I can understand how now that he's going to miss 4 games, and then this bizarre. What do you guys make of all this mess that, like, they're saying he can't go to the game, like he can't even sit in the stands at the Cowboys game, like, or be involved in. Is this is Thomas Davis going after the NFL a little bit on this, or is this really true? Like, you can't even be. It's like you can't even be in the same city.
No, you're not supposed to. When you're suspended, you can't go to the facility. You can't be.
So that's
there.
normal,
right? That's not.
I had never heard that rule before.
Yeah,
I guess we never hear about like players sitting in the stands other than Marshawn Lynch, who got kicked out and then was like in a hoodie,
right,
in the stands.
No,
he was hiding too, though.
If you got suspended, you were in this case, he could participate in the preseason, but once the season started and his suspension kicks in, he's got to stay away from the facility until his suspension is over. Can't come to work out, can't come to get therapy, none of that stuff.
So you say that that's insane. So you guys say there's some tough decisions to be made. Let's move a little bit. Let's talk quickly about one at the receiver position, and then we're going to go to the cat calls because I want to get them earlier than later. But guys, Curtis Samuels, Cody, this guy breaking ankles out there on Stephon Gilmore. This guy had a fantastic game. He has trended up. I saw that Panthers Africa, who is a Panthers fan that lives in South Africa, I believe. She does a lot of Pro Football Reference and statistical things. And she was saying that he got the most targets and the most targets. He's tied with DJ Moore in the entire preseason. He's outshined everybody in yards and production. and he's continued to trend up and up and up. I drafted him in the league for the Pirate Radio 1250 league in the 7th round, because I think all of a sudden, and this is a reach, I know, but I almost believe what he's shown in this preseason, he could be the most impressive wide receiver in the entire bunch this year.
You're not far off. I'm not even sure that I disagree with you. And if you guys see the video I have playing, what's the thing that we always say that is the problem with our receivers is that there's no separation. Look at what Curtis Samuel is able to do to Stephon Gilmore. One just jukes him out of his shoes, but the amount of time that he has to then take the ball, cut upfield, and get more yards after the catch, that is so important for what we want to do in our offense, and that's what we drafted DJ Moore to do. But now we're seeing Curtis Samuel realize his true potential and come into his own. Now it's possible that we might have not one, but two really high-end, athletically gifted receivers that are able to do just this. So, man, listen, Curtis Samuel, I've always said I compared him to a Tyreek Hill, from the Chiefs, and everyone knows how good that guy is. I think Curtis Samuel, I mean, you're right, Tony, he very well might have the most talent on our team until DJ Moore proves otherwise.
Right. Is that DJ Moore has actually come under a little fire, even from Panther fans, in that they had hope, they expected more out of him. No pun intended.
Oh, yeah, I think that's just ridiculous expectations.
Right. Okay, good.
Out loud. Right?
Yeah. All right. So, but I think that there was a belief among Panther fans that when you took a wide receiver, when you could have taken a lineman, you could have taken a set, and then you got Norv, and we got that smiling picture of Norv Turner, right? Of gushing over DJ Moore. And then you hear Steve Smith say that he can run the entire route tree. This is a complete receiver. I think that when you came into the preseason, that you were hoping that you might catch a rookie receiver that could get 800 yards. And I think it is I think it is a too lofty of an expectation that you need every player to be a superstar from moment one. But, I think that DJ Moore is in the 400 yard to 500 yard range from what we've seen. They've said that, look, it's going to be an adjustment for him and learning. They've thrown so much at him. But the idea that Curtis Samuel and Devin Funchess, who's looked really good as well, that's taken some pressure off of DJ Moore. So where Norv Turner can put DJ Moore in places that he knows he will succeed or best set him up instead of being too dependent on him, much like the Buffalo Bills were of Zay Jones last year. Sometimes It's not a referendum on the player as much as maybe you put too high of expectations on a player, unrealistic expectations, and then at the same time in trying to meet those, that they fall short naturally.
I think he remember the catch and run he had. I think it was against Miami.
Yeah,
that was pretty impressive. You really got to see what he's capable of. But we have so many weapons on the team. He's not always going to get the ball.
But Curtis Samuel has looked special, though, in the process. So in some ways, it doesn't even have to do anything with DJ Moore, and we got sidetracked in that. But at the same time, just because Curtis Samuel is looking great, it doesn't really impact just how effective or well DJ Moore is doing. It's almost like Panther fans forgot about Curtis Samuel or wrote him off so much that it's such a surprise. They're like, oh my God, it's like an extra draft pick. Like you got an extra number one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you listen to Carlton in the chat, DJ needs to develop, but he'll be fine. And that's really the mentality. Is that Curtis Samuel didn't look this good last year. He had some hamstring problems, and that kind of hindered his development. But now he's starting to blossom and come into his own. Also, another thing to realize is if Curtis Samuel plays well, that benefits DJ more because teams are going to catch on to it. You're going to have Christian McCaffrey on the field at the same time. You're only going to be able to cover so many people and then play contain if Cam Newton decides to take off. So DJ is going to have a better rookie season than Curtis Samuel did his rookie season. I'm willing to say that for a fact. But yeah, as of right now, Curtis Samuel, I mean, he's looking like everything that we drafted him to be. He's running his routes very well. And the yards after the catch, that's huge, man. He's not grabbing the ball and, going straight down as you see Devin Funchess do sometimes. He's trying to make a move, put it on people, and turn and get upfield. And like I said earlier, that's really important.
All right, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. Every Tuesday night, 9 p.m., we come to you. You can, if you're watching right now, smash that like button on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. We appreciate your support. We're also on Shindig now, where you can be a greater part of the conversation. If you get the Shindig app and join in, you get all the features of the chat rooms that you're in at this moment, but we can even bring you into the conversation. We can bring you in camera and all audio only. Whatever you want to do, we can feature your questions and your comments as well. So it's something to keep in mind. We're about to get into the cat calls, but we did get one point that tugs at the heartstrings on Facebook. John Kalishaw asked this. Do you guys think we will be able to keep Bird? And on my show notes, I've been talking about this. I've been talking about, or in the show notes, there's this discussion, and a lot of Panther fans. First of all, Torrey Smith was not the most popular selection or move and acquisition from the beginning. Right. There was a strong cohort, and even the majority who pointed out that this was a $5 million contract. You traded away a young player in Darryl Worley, and you assume $5 million for a guy who is maybe not the player he used to be. Now, on the other hand, Torrey Smith, and I think the other thing is that they were hopeful that we would do something else in free agency. Those same people that were probably saying that were targeting wide receivers or believing that the Carolina Panthers were going to enter the wide receiver market in free agency. But the wide receiver free agency class actually was not all that good this year. Like my friend CW said, I believe even that Sammy Watkins was even a trade. That's what he said. I thought he was a free agent. He said he was a trade.
No, he was a free agent.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So you had Sammy Watkins. You had Allen Robinson, who injured, coming off an injury. You had guys like Alan Hearns out there. You had guys like Dante Moncrief, Mike Wallace. So for me, I thought this, and I've said this repeatedly on the show, and I agree, Nervash Worley was a scrub. He's terrible from day one. And obviously has some issues going on, too, with himself. So I've said this from day one. The good thing about Torrey Smith is heading into the draft, you got a wide receiver who does a lot of the things you kind of need. The Ted Ginn-ish, he's a veteran. He can run. He's a deep threat. All of these, but he's also big enough to hang on, in those 10-yard routes, those 7-yard routes. But you also get him at a very stable price. You knew exactly how much you were paying for him. You knew you were going to be paying $5 million. If you waited till free agency and you didn't do that, you had to kind of run with the market. And you're hoping that the market doesn't run up at that moment, but it did. So at least that you got this. Now, there's a great amount of people. I'm getting a bird here. There's a large group of people who say, where has Torrey Smith been in the preseason? They've seen him drop passes. They say he's lost a step. And a lot of people are contending, a lot of Panther fans are arguing and struggling or suggesting that the Carolina Panthers should cut Torrey Smith. Joey, I'll open the show. I'll open the question to you. In relationship to Bird and keeping Bird in mind, do you stand on Torrey Smith as part of this receiver group?
Well, I understand why he was brought, to the team. They wanted a veteran presence in the receiver room. He's been on a championship team, and he's a professional. He can come in and teach everybody the right way to do things, which is very important. But he has looked pretty pathetic.
Dang, pathetic.
Yeah, and that's probably too strong of a word. He dropped 2 passes. I think they were the only 2 thrown them all season, all preseason.
They did say that he had 3 targets. That the one that Cam threw him was a little outside. That's a tough.
Well, they still hit him in the hand, didn't it?
It was close.
Yeah,
it was.
It did. And to kind of side with Joey on this, even though I kind of disagree, I've been kind of against this Torrey Smith talk. Cam actually threw him open on that. He actually intentionally threw it to the outside a little more, so that way all Torrey had to do was cut to the right a little bit and get some separation from the defensive back. He definitely should have had the ball on that play, no doubt. That was a dropped pass.
Yeah, and I'm not saying cut him over one drop pass. I'm just saying he's been completely invisible when all these other young guys have really shown out. And is it fair to keep a guy because he's got some seasons in the NFL and he's not as fast as he was at one time? To me, he doesn't look like he has the same speed.
That is the perspective in many ways that a lot of people who are calling for him to not crowd the wide receiver bunch, that they then point to that Jarris Wright has only been in the league 1 less year than Torrey Smith. He could be the veteran presence. I'm so tired of people mentioning Cotry. You can bring in everybody. This is our Cotry. This is our Cotry. This is our Cotry. No, I just don't think that. But this is so thinking about that. So I'm hearing that noise. I'm hearing that. I'm with Cody though. I don't think that Torrey Smith needs to be cut. I don't think he will be cut. But then this is what comes out on Panthers.com today. They did a wide receiver special. Max Henson does, assessing the wide receiver group as the regular season nears. And this is what it says under Torrey Smith. It says the veteran trade acquisition posted just 1 catch for 12 yards in 3 preseason games. Cause for a concern? Question. Not for Taylor and Smith. Now, this is coming from Lance Taylor, the wide receivers coach. Torrey had a phenomenal camp, quote, may have had the best camp of any receiver in our group from day one until now. We've had some missed opportunities. There have been some near misses. We haven't connected with him in these preseason games, but he's been lights out in competitive periods against our defense in practice he's talking about, and he's made some phenomenal plays. He goes on to say, I know, basically, he said that for him, he said he's looking at the practices and what he's doing there. So that alone, that's strong of an endorsement from the wide receivers coach indicates to me that, hey, Torrey Smith is on this team. At this point, when it comes to Bird, who does also deserve to be on this team as well, I believe, and has shown that completely, repeatedly. Like Panthers Africa said on Twitter, I think earlier today, she said, look, his Bird has been playing in the second half a lot. He hasn't gotten a lot of action early. Again, this is par for course. This is what they always do to him. But he continues to excel on punt returns, and he's even out there on kickoffs and things trying to get down there and tackle. He was down there. He missed the tackle, but he was down there when you remember that crazy shirt play where they grabbed the guy by the undershirt and it turned into like a rubber band. Mm-hmm. I swear from my angle on the television, it looked like the Patriots guy grabbed him.
Listen, man, this is my opinion on the whole thing. So it's two things. One, everybody still has some PTSD from Russell Shepard. Because everyone was saying the same thing about Russell Shepard at the start of last year. Veteran presence. He's a downfield threat. You're going to be able to get the ball to him on second and third down. And he was so underwhelming by the middle of the season. Everyone was saying, where is this dude at? And I think a lot of the fears from Russell Shepard has now transferred over, and people think Torrey Smith is the new Shepard. I reiterate what Lance Taylor said during the camp at Wofford. I was reading all the time that Cam and Torrey Smith connecting in the back of the end zone. I mean, he is a real weapon for Cam. And just because you haven't seen it in the preseason, that doesn't have any indication on what kind of season Torrey Smith is going to have. The guy can make plays. I've seen him do it with the Ravens and Joe Flacco. I've seen him do it with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. I know that Torrey Smith can make plays. Now, how it relates to Bird, I hope that Bird makes the team. But this has been my only knock on him. Every year, Bird has been hurt. He's been injured at one point or another throughout the season. If you even go back to his time at South Carolina, he was hurt a lot then. He has a hard time staying on the field. So when you have people saying, well, cut Torrey Smith, save $5 million, and let Bird have the ropes, well, why is that a smart thing to do when Bird has yet to prove that he can be on the field all season? I mean, if he was able to do that, he probably would have been on the field for years before that, ever since he joined the team. So I'm not comfortable.
Well, last year, I'll give you last year on that, is they would not have played him in 2015, 2016. They were so rude to him. Rude, man. He was doing it, and they wouldn't even give him a chance. These busters, there's a bunch of busters out there, and they wouldn't even give him a man a shot. But last year they would have, and once again, struggled with the injury. So I understand. Yeah. I think that's a big knock, or that's something that's working against him. But truly, if that was the case, tell me this: is that if Damiere Byrd does not make this team, who returns punts?
I mean, in my mind, it's probably Curtis Samuel, or maybe even McCaffrey, and maybe even DJ Moore, which I'm not happy with those latter. Or even Samuel, but I don't know, man. I want Damiere, and I want to make sure I say this. I want Damiere to make the team. I do think he'll be good on punts, but I don't. My only point of contention is when people are saying, "Well, cut Damiere. Cut Torrey Smith. Save $5 million. Damiere can do the job." That's just what I'm not so sure about, but. I would like to have.
He's not the same player as Torrey Smith. I don't think he's the same player as Torrey Smith at all. I think, if anything, he's closer to. Sure, he's faster, but I think he's more in the realm of a Curtis Samuel type player. If you want to talk about a duplication attack, I think that Torrey Smith is a smaller version of Mike Wallace. And more and kind of in the realm of maybe just a little shorter than Ted Ginn, but can do a lot. Man, look, he had 400 yards repeatedly in his last season. It's a Ted Ginn type stat line. Is that, you know what I'm saying? Is that on a great year, Ted Ginn had 600 yards. On a bad year, he had 400 yards. He is he's got better hands than Ted Ginn, but probably doesn't make as many plays as Ted Ginn. That's what I would say. I don't think that him and Bird, I don't think you can exchange him and Bird. I just don't think that is. I don't think you're going to send Bird and try to win in some of those intermediate routes across the middle or down or on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? Like some outs or something. I don't think that's going to work as well. So then the question is, can Barner return punts? And I think he mentioned today in the news that, look, that these guys, the fourth preseason game isn't just an audition for the Carolina Panthers, but Kenyon Barner said it's an audition for 31 other teams. So these guys are out there playing to show that. So I think that's important, right? I think that's important to understand, is that these guys are going to be going out there, and while we continue to look at it from the perspective of the Carolina Panthers and these guys trying to make the team, you know, the way Kenyon Barner and maybe Damiere Byrd is they got to show out on punts in case somebody else needs one, a punt returner or something like that in that pinch. But I think Torrey Smith makes this team. I think if Damiere Byrd makes this team, we keep 6 wide receivers.
Yeah, that's the number I've been at. I think we'll have 6 on the team. I even have my names in mind of who it'll be. I definitely.
You don't think we'll try to keep extra linemen if not everybody is able to come back? You don't think we'll have a spot? The extra spot.
Well, that's the threat, Joe. That's the threat. Is do you keep an extra lineman? Who do you keep if you do? And what position does that crowd out? I mean, the good news though is we've kept 5 wide receivers in the past and also kept 3 quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. We're not keeping 3 quarterbacks this year. I don't think we should. I think it should be Cam Newton and Heineke. And I also think that you might be able to trim a spot as well. Right now, we only have 3 tight ends. It's not like you have to worry about us keeping a 4th. We barely have a 3rd one. In Manhurts, who's been on the pup, or might start on the pup list or whatever it may be. I think the trim is going to come at running back. I think you can run into this season. I think you can run into this season with Christian McCaffrey being your workhorse and the guy that you want to build the entire offense around, Cam and Christian, right? That's what I think this offense is going to be, the centerpiece of those 2 guys. But then you've got Anderson, CJ Anderson, who I think can step in the case or in the event that Christian McCaffrey went down. I think CJ Anderson is competent enough, and we've seen that in pass protection and his ability to get yards out of nothing. I think that he's the number 2 running back, and I think we keep Alex Arma. And unfortunately, another one of my fan favorites, not as much as Damiere Byrd, but a close second, Cameron Artis-Payne, I think is the odd man out. I think both him and Kenyon Barner don't make this team.
I think our receivers will probably keep 6. And then our offensive line is going to be another group where we keep a lot, just basically as insurance policies. I think those 2 are going to be the most loaded. There's going to be some interesting cuts, man. I don't think Deshaun Hall makes the team, unless he doesn't clear waivers and we put him on the practice squad.
Right. I think you're right, 100%.
Yeah, we also drafted 2 linebackers, Jermaine Carter Jr. out of Maryland and Andre Smith. And I mean, I don't remember seeing really enough. Maybe I've seen some Jermaine Carter plays in the preseason, but I think Andre Smith, that was a 6th-round draft pick for us. I don't think that he'll make the team. There's a few really interesting cuts, man. I know we all like Elijah Hood a lot too. I don't know if he'll make the team. Maybe they'll put him on the practice squad. There's a bunch of really interesting cuts to come up, but my money is on our receiver position being pretty loaded, and on our offensive line being loaded, just basically as insurance policies.
I think, guys, we've had a little bit more. I think that we feel a little more certain in the secondary. I think that Cersei and Adams are good. We're confident enough in those veterans. I think Dante Jackson has shown enough in the secondary. I think Corn Elder budding into a contributor. I think that in the past we've had to hope. I've heard guys talking about, good Lord, there's some crazy names we've heard in the past, but may as well be Gunter or the Doss guy. There was another one that was a safety that was always getting hurt with a hamstring the last 2 years that everybody was hype on. But I don't think we're going to go heavy in the secondary. I think we're confident in the young guys, and we have enough veterans to coach those guys up. So there is an opportunity. You know, Marty Herney has kept more than 5 receivers on the roster in his original tenure with the Panthers. In fact, he was always struggling at the offensive line position, at the wide receiver position, to replicate and duplicate that combination of Steve Smith and Muhsin Muhammad. At 1 year it was Steve Smith and Keyshawn Johnson. 1 year, you had all those draft picks that were busts that didn't work out, from Kerry Colbert to who was the really, really dumb dude from USC, Dwayne Jarrett.
Yeah.
That dude was dumb he was barely aware of the world at all, like his own. It was. I felt terrible for him. I hate to say that, but when everybody says they hate to say that, they actually meant it. But
he didn't know where it was at.
Yeah, it was really tough to listen to him talk. But the Marty Herney kept as many as 8 wide receivers when Steve Smith broke his leg in a game against Green Bay, I believe. So it's not like he's adverse to going heavy at wide receiver. But you got to think position groups that he's going. Dean Marlowe, Victor got it. Dean Marlowe is exactly who I was thinking of. So this is what, those are all things we're going to be watching. Guys, I do want to do this. It's 10 o'clock, and we said we're going to get to it sooner or later. We didn't. The C3 Podcast, look, thank you so much for being in the chat room and participating. Listen on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. But right now, we're going to feature your calls on the C3 Panthers Podcast. You can be a part of the show by calling into the Cat Calls line, which is open 24/7 all day, every day. Call and leave a message about your thoughts on the team and what you want to talk about on this podcast. And let's jump in tonight's show. There's plenty of calls to talk about.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty you shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like...
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hi, what's up, Cat Chronicle crew? What's up, Tony? What's up, me, Puerto Rican Joey? This is Carlton Davis, one of your biggest podcast fans, calling back. I'm very disappointed in our loss yesterday. I think a few things. My point of view, a very BS call by the refs saying it was intentional grounding on Cam. Our offense finally wakes up. But geez, can we get some?
Holy cow! I think those are old calls. Old calls.
You're playing some.
Yo! What up? This money back is awesome. First time caller. Man, I've been listening for about a year now. This is actually the first podcast I ever listened to, man. I'm 30, but shit, it's the first one I actually listened to. But I just wanted to say I was listening to Molly Walker and Bobby earlier today, and I heard some crazy shit. I don't mean to sound like Cam or whatever, But Molly was saying some crazy shit. I don't want to say it, but you know what I want to say. But anyway, she said Cam don't even belong in the Carolina Panthers Ring of Honor. I can see the debate about him going to the Hall of Fame or whatever.
What?
But he's going in the Ring of Honor. No questions asked. I'm going to call tomorrow after the game, but I just wanted to
Let's
say
hear
that.
this one more time. I want to hear this call one more time before we get into it.
Yo, what up, what up? This Money Bags lost some first-time caller that I've been listening for about a year now.
Money Bags.
This is actually the first podcast I ever listened to, man. I'm 30, but shit, it's the first one I actually listened to. But, yeah, I just wanted to say I was listening to Molly Walker and Bobby earlier today, and I heard some crazy shit. I mean, I don't mean to sound like Cam or whatever, but Molly was saying some crazy shit. I don't want to say it, but you know what I want to say. But anyway, she said Cam don't even belong in the Carolina Panthers Ring of Honor. I can see the debate about him going to the Hall of Fame or whatever, but he's going in the Ring of Honor. No questions asked. I'm going to call tomorrow after the game, but I just wanted to say that. All right.
The idea. All right. So, look, the good news about this is that Cam's career is so new still and shiny. I mean, he's in the league 7 years, and he's got 10 years left in him, barring any major problems. So the entire arc of his career has yet to been told. His story has not been told. I think the only way he doesn't make the Ring of Honor for the Carolina Panthers is if he goes plays for the Falcons and wins the Super Bowl with them. Other than that,
Did you say? He said, hush your mouth. He said, hush your mouth.
I mean, that's the only
I agree with Joey, man. Hush your mouth. I want to talk that talk.
It's the only offense that I think would ever make me turn my back on my man. He's made us completely relevant. He's been amazing. And we still have years to come with Cam. This year is a Super Bowl year. So I would say, Molly, hold your tongue right now. And there's no need to be keeping anybody out of the Ring of Honor, especially when you got a new owner who's ready to put Julius Pepper's jersey as the midfield logo. That's my opinion. All right, let's go to the next call.
If Cam Newton is not in the Ring of Honor, Santa's my best friend.
All right, here we go.
Yo, what up?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to make it quick tonight. It's your boy, Brandon Herbert, and
what's going on, Brandon?
I was just calling about just saying how much pleasantly surprised I'm feeling about the offensive line. Yes, I know you were running Ben and everything, but how much better did Moulton look over Ryan Khalil? That was the distinct difference. Now, we'll see once we get in the regular season, because the Patriots they don't have great pass rushers. But one thing that I'm pleasantly surprised about this year so far, well, the preseason at least, is how well, even with whoever that we put in, how well either the scheme or something happened that how well our running game has been and how well the offensive line has blocked. Because if you remember last year, they were getting hit 3, 4, 5 yards in the backfield as soon as they touched the ball. So I'm very pleasantly surprised about that. That's been awesome. Pass blocking, once Matt Khalil went out, to be honest, has been looking decent, at least at minimum. So I'm super excited about that. I think Cam is starting to see that he can utilize his weapons. He did take a little bit of a scare this week. Hopefully he doesn't take too many of those falls and everything. But I'm still happy about how our offense is looking. Our defense is looking like it's going to be pretty decent. I don't know what the whole big deal about playing so far off. I know we play zone, but so far off, like Tom Brady was just dumping it off. But we clamped down in the red zone, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that was just a preseason thing. anyway, guys, just let me know what you think. Great show as always, and keep counting.
Love. Brandon Herbert won the autographed Christian McCaffrey jersey in the C3 Fantasy Football Challenge. So that's pretty awesome. Always bringing great Panther conversation on Twitter and on the Cat Calls line. We appreciate that, Brandon. Made a lot of good points there. Let's start with Taylor Moton, something that somebody had brought up in the chat room earlier and something we definitely need to talk about. Taylor Moton continues to impress. Now he's been shifted from right tackle to left tackle. Wasn't as perfect, he had been perfect at this point to where he hadn't even made a mistake. I believe he did allow one pressure or something to that effect. But the transition's been great. You look at it, and I think what Brandon was talking about is the eye test alone tells us Matt Khalil looks like he's getting abused nonstop. Even when it's not even turning into something terrible, it just doesn't look right. You look at Taylor Moton playing over there on the left side, and he looks like he belongs. Joey, how impressed have you been with Taylor Moton?
He really has been impressive. What amazes me is his versatility. He can step in anywhere and just play that position well. I don't know that they thought he could be this good. I knew they thought he could be good, but man, he's playing like he's been in the league 8 years at left tackle. You know what
Cody,
I mean?
I agree. Cody, Joey brings up a fantastic point in that, you wonder if they even thought he could be this good. You're wondering why didn't we get this sooner? I feel like.
No, I mean, it really is a good question to ask. And if you guys notice, I have a clip up that I've been playing, and it shows how well Moton is really doing. Because if you notice, the defensive end crushes in, and then Taylor Moton is with him all the way. And then when the play moves outside, look how fast Taylor Moton runs all the way with him. This is a big guy that can move, okay? Taylor Moton might be a freak occurrence for us Panthers at left tackle. The fact that he was able to move from right tackle, be effective, and then move back to all the way over to the left side where he hasn't even been playing before and be effective, yeah, he's going to give up a pressure every once in a while. But man, I mean, he's so new and he's so strong and he's raw and he moves very, very well. Taylor Moton has been a blessing in disguise. I'm so happy with the man. He's awesome. I used to think that he was too nice, that you wanted your offensive lineman to be a little, a little mean, have some gangster in him, and Taylor Moton is not that. But on the field, the man turns it on. He's an absolute beast, and I love what we've been seeing from him, man.
He's a giant Carlton, dude. He is a giant Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's exactly what he reminds me of.
He is a giant Carlton, and his play has been wonderful. Like I'm saying, if you watch him play, he moves well, and he doesn't give up space, and he has a very good technique. And I'm into it, man. I'm loving it.
He might be a Carlton in personality, but he's Uncle Phil in size.
Yeah, he is. Good Lord. That is the truth. Oh, well done, Joey. Tin Tizzy in YouTube chat says he has a high IQ as well as the frame to use it. But Nervash brings in the great point right here. Ron Rivera, that's why. You want to know why we haven't seen Taylor Moton? He says Ron Rivera. He goes on to say, don't forget, there had to be an injury to occur for Andrew Norwell to surface too. J-Dub says, look, is Rivera will still pull Moton once Khalil is healthy, which is so dumb. And I want to say these guys are wrong. I want to say it. I want to say Nervash is completely off the mark and bringing about the Andrew Norwell thing. But then what do we say? Amini Silatulu. The leader at the guard position. That the idea that the Panthers have been trying to say that Moten was competing for guard, like you barely even heard his name at that point. So while I want to say these guys are wrong, there's been a lot of things that tell us they may be right. Let's keep going with these cat calls.
C3, Panther Nation, it's your boy J-Dub. Oh, man, I had so many things to do a cat call on. Some very, very serious, some more lighthearted. But I think I'm just going to do one on this whole line. I think a lot of people are hitting the panic button. And I'm not necessarily saying we're in great position. But in the long run, this could be a beautiful thing with Moten. Especially in our first game against D. Lawrence, against the right tackle, whoever it may be week one for the Cowboys. That's my scariest thing about this line week one, at least. I know I might be looking past the fourth preseason game, but barring any injury, I can honestly kind of care less. Sounds bad of me as a Panther fan, but I think we're pretty much set other than certain roster spots that might have to be given for extra lineman depth, but we ain't talking about that. This whole line having Moten at left tackle could really open up many options for us next year. I don't know with the way Hurney restructured Khalil's contract if we can just get rid of him after this year, because I know before we could have. I don't think we can now. I'm not sure. But we might just have to eat that one. Like, I'm serious. Or try him at right tackle. Do something. I just hope Moten takes over that left tackle spot. Van Rotten has proven he can be a guard up there, man. The block downfield from McCaffrey, you kidding me? Come on. I'm just saying. That left side is going to end up being our stronger side. And then if you run to that left side and pull with Turner, and if necessary, have a tight end over there or Arma or good Lord. I mean, I think we're going to be just fine when it comes to this O-line for that. I'm excited to have McCaffrey in a larger role. He looks like he's bossed up, and if we give him just a little bit of space to get to the second level, it's on. C.J. Anderson has kind of been the hidden diamond in the rough, and I think he's going to surprise people. I don't know how he's going to be if he doesn't get a good volume. That's my only thing with that, but I'm not panicking on this O-line. If anyone else gets hurt, you know it's going to be bad, but we all know that. I think we're going to be okay. If we could break this even year curse, please, please, please. Your boy J-Dub. Love y'all. Now.
J-Dub.
Bringing it.
Makes a ton of good points, man. And listen, I came correct with the clips tonight, okay? My man brings up Van Roten, and I got clips to back up what my man is saying. Keep your eyes on number 73. Van Roten needs to start at our left guard. The man can pull. He's been really doing wonders for Christian McCaffrey, because last year Christian
talk about a guy that can run.
Yeah, he can really run. He ran a lot
out
behind
there.
Andrew.
Look, he's ahead of the whole play.
He's ahead of the whole play. And look, he's making moves, and he's lead blocking for Christian like a mofo, man.
A little out of control.
He is doing his thing. I have one more here. Look, he just does not give up any ground to the guy in front of him. He's always getting in a good push. He's good at getting his hands on the inside of the defender in front of him. He's nice at the point of attack. Man, I think if you compliment him with Taylor Moten on the left side, man, that left side might end up being better than we could have ever hoped that it would be, man. Number 73 is for real.
Mm-hmm.
Joey, J-Dub at the end of the call brought this, is that the concern is the fragility of this offensive line.
Yeah.
I put out a story on CarolinaCatChronicles.com that says, like, hey, the Panthers' offensive line verging on untenable. The idea that Matt Khalil taking him away makes the line better in a line that's already suffered 2 other major injuries, one to Darrell Williams, one to Amini Silatulu, now a hamstring injury to Jeremiah Searles. You're almost trying to find warm bodies out there. So you need a guy like Van Roten to step up. I think I've been excited about how Trey Turner has played to this point. Clausel was not especially great, but hey, first game at right tackle, probably a better fit at right tackle than they had him at left tackle. But then there's another thing that's on the mind here is that Ryan Khalil did not have an especially good game.
No.
Ryan Khalil was getting muscled around out there. So Nervosh in the YouTube. Yeah, Nervosh says in the YouTube chat room, which is we need Ryan Khalil to stay totally healthy. And I do feel like, A, that's correct. But B, now I'm starting to wonder, is even healthy? Are we going to see a deterioration of play from Ryan Khalil this year? And we cannot have that. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, I have another one right here. And if you look, as soon as the play starts, Ryan Khalil is just pushed all the way back into Christian. And by the way, guys, this happens a lot. So, we like to talk about, Matt Khalil, but older brother these past few games really has not been doing a lot better. I wonder how much, with how much time he's missed, I really do wonder if it's taken an effect on him. He really has been, he doesn't look strong at all. And on the play, trying to find it here. So this is the play where Cam almost breaks his own neck. But part of the reason why Cam has to move out of the pocket, if you notice, as soon as the play starts, Matt Khalil is right in Cam Newton's lap. And it just happens and happens and happens. It makes you wonder. And J-Dub hits the nail on the head in the chat. They're not letting Larson play guard at all. I think that the reason why Larson got a contract extension is maybe the front office is a little bit worried that Ryan isn't quite the center that he used to be.
I would say
that's hot take, Joey.
I would say they're probably more than a little bit worried. And that's why they did make that move.
That's huge, guys.
They're not confident in Khalil right now, in Ryan.
And that's we don't need that right now.
No, we do not need that at all.
Stay away from the adult movie theaters, Ryan Khalil, please.
I think that sleeping on his neck wrong was much more than that.
That's what I'm saying. Trying to say it, my man. It's the adult movie theaters he's at. Sorry.
Either that, or maybe he just wasn't willing to spend the money on that silly Posturepedic mattress that he should have bought forever ago. I don't know.
Yeah, and what is the name? There's one they always advertise on WFNZ. It's kind of like a Tempur-Pedic. It's a local place. I forget it. Get a Casper. Get a damn Casper. You know what? Let's start a GoFundMe for Matt Khalil to get a mypillow.com. You guys seen that commercial? My Pillow, man, that dude makes me want to buy that pillow. Let's get
heck of a salesman.
Guys, you look better, you feel better, you're sleep like all that, man. I love that commercial. I ain't gonna lie, every morning I want to buy my pillow. I want to buy it every morning. All right, let's go. We got another call to get to.
Hey, everybody. It's the world famous G. Cavassier. I'm not going to keep y'all
Cavassier,
long.
what's up,
All I
baby?
got to say is, what a game. What a game we played against New England. Now, what I'm about to say might shock you guys, or you might have realized it like I have. But my opinion, we should start Taylor Moton as the left tackle. We wasted money on Matt Khalil. I mean, that dude, he's hurt. He's not hurt. He's getting bull rushed by, Robert Quinn in that Dolphins game. Y'all remember. But tell me, the offensive line, not just Taylor Moton, the whole entire offensive line held up. And the way Cam was throwing, had time to actually throw, we're going to be a problem this year. I'm trying to tell people that. And I would like to personally give a big shout out to Curtis Samuel. This dude was playing his tail off this preseason. I mean, he was making good catches, and the future is bright for this dude. It really is. It really is. It really is. But getting back to his offensive line, that offensive line played pretty good. They were blocking good. They were opening up holes for the run game. C-Mac had a good game. The only thing is Cam Newton did that one play, and he, dove forward and almost took his head off. He needs to stop doing that, But besides that, I really, really, really was impressed with that game. So you guys, give me your opinion about, Taylor Moton, playing the left tackle. Because to me, that right there should be a lock. The way that young man played, that should be a lock. And always remember, guys, keep pounding.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I do want to bring this up, and maybe I can do it on, I'm going to share my screen here. See if this works. Guess it's not going to work. Here is a tweet from, I'll just read it to you. Ross Tucker on SI prediction. The Panthers will win 7 games. He said, that's the floor for me. Now, I think they are a 7-10 team, most likely 8-9, because of that offensive line. Now, guys, so all of this is coming back to J-Dub, like he said, is the concern is at the offensive line. I think we've said that over, and where the bright spot being Moton, Trey Turner being kind of the stable cog. I've been very happy with his preseason so far. We needed that from him. But at the same time, we continue to talk about how fragile this group is. Now, what I responded back to this tweet was we're 7-9 if this offensive line is atrocious, is bad. We are 9-6, or not what 9-7, 10-6 if the offensive line is mediocre. If the offensive line is good, we're 11-12 win team, and if it's great, we're a 13 win or more team. That's how I feel, is that our season, there's 3 or 4 games that are going to be completely determined by this offensive line. So, guys, going into the final game, do you just sit pat at this point and hope that Matt Khalil can play right tackle, or hope that Darrell Williams can come back, or hope that Amini Sila-Tulu can come back, hope that Tyler Lawson maybe can fill in for right? There's a lot of hope right there. A lot of concerns for me, like J-Dub is saying. And I don't think the answer is going and getting a starter right off the bat. But I do think it may be eyeballing a potential right tackle or a left guard in case something, or a center if something bad happens.
Take it, Joey.
Yeah, I think I agree 100%. This offensive line will dictate our record. The better it plays, the better our record will be. And that is because of Cam. If they can block for Cam and give him time, that's where our money is going to be made. I think they're a good run blocking group. that's not even a concern, really. It's that pass protection. If they can get that pass protection good, then the sky's the limit for this Panthers team.
Yeah,
Cody,
100%.
how do you fix it? I mean, how do you fix it? Do you overcompensate? What do you do at this point? I don't know. I'm just concerned about the concept that the answer is on our roster. That mentality that is sit pat and hope it works. And if it doesn't work, then next season is it. I don't know if that's the right answer in this case because I believe the Panthers are loaded this year. I think the defense maybe is budding, and maybe next year is their year potentially. But I actually think this year we haven't seen the defense with a Julius Peppers out there yet. So we've seen this come. I mean, like, and we don't need him now. We've seen what they can do without him. We don't need him to be an every down guy, particularly since Mario Addison has shown he can be that. This defense is close. I think it's there, actually. The offense has the most talent it's had on it the whole time. I don't know if wait and see is the best move here, Cody.
Go ahead, Cody.
Well, here's what you need to hope for. One, so Darrell Williams was doing an interview, and he was saying that he's hoping to avoid IR. So that means he doesn't have to wait until mid-season to come back. This is what everybody needs to hope for. They need to hope for Darrell Williams being able to come back maybe around week in between 3 to 5, come back, be able to play right tackle. Let Taylor Moton play left tackle and get comfortable in that role. Now, he's big, he's strong, he's showing promise. Throw that iron into the fire and let him play. Start Van Roten at left guard, right? Then you need to hope that our head coach and general manager are smart enough to not mess it up and go back to tenure. If Matt Khalil ends up being okay and they want to put him back on the field just to get abused, and then if a mini Silatolu comes back and he's been on our team forever and then you put him at left guard, now you are doing terrible things to the left side of our line.
You're making a bad situation worse.
You're making a bad situation worse. So that you need to hope that Ron Rivera and Marty Herney, or even one of them, you need to hope that Marty Herney, let's say Ron Rivera wants to put Matt and a mini back in, you need to hope that Marty...
Can Ron really be like this? Can Ron be such a veteran hog? I mean, you've seen it with Stewart. You've seen it with Stewart over Cameron Artis-Payne. You've seen it with Shepard over Burt, or like you've seen it over and over. Before we came into this show, I didn't necessarily know I felt that way, but I think Nervosh convinced me. Is that, I mean, I hope that Ron Rivera is not the guy there that's making these problems. But, man, that would really stink if it's him saying that.
Well, and then think of it this way. He even said at the end of last season, yeah, we probably should have played Cameron a little bit more than we did. And so, yeah, you didn't think of that when Jonathan Stewart fumbles the ball twice and just absolutely murders your offense's momentum. Listen, Ron Rivera has demonstrated this kind of stubborn, bullheaded mentality. And what I'm hoping is, listen, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm hoping that he'll know to make the right decision and put the right guys in place. But even if he doesn't, man, Marty Herney has to be able to step up and kind of usurp him if he feels like Ron is making the wrong decision on who to put on the field. You have to hope that someone in the front office or amongst our coaching staff knows that just because you have Matt Khalil and you're paying him a ton of money, if he's not the best player, it doesn't mean that he is the man that needs to start at left tackle.
Joey, the good news is we've got Norv Turner.
That's great news.
And I think that Norv Turner could may make Ron Rivera a better coach.
Yeah.
And it's not just by calling offensive plays. You know, I think it's by Ron Rivera feeling more comfortable with being a head coach and he's not an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy. Maybe Norv Turner can be assertive enough and Ron Rivera respects him enough to say, hey, Christian McCaffrey, the whole offense needs to run through him. Hey, Matt Khalil stinks. Or whatever it is that, there's certain people in your life, when they give you advice, you listen to it more than when someone else gives you advice. Even if it's the same exact advice, it might be the voice it's coming from. Maybe Ron Rivera, maybe Norv Turner can be that influence for Ron Rivera.
Well, they have the established history already. They've coached together on more than one occasion. And, they've been friends. So there is that connection between them already. You know what I mean? And I do think it will help Rivera. Getting back to the offensive line, I just want to ask this. Do you think that once cuts are made from other teams, they will be looking at who's available and perhaps make a move for another player or two?
If they're not, they're foolish. Yeah, I think they're foolish, though, if they're not. Look, I saw this somewhere, is that maybe it was like a Colin Cowherd or something, and it was an article, so it wasn't one of those guys, but it was like, the Patriots are going to be combing the waiver wire for guys that are cut because their receiver group is weak. Yeah, that's what all teams do on their weak spots. So, I understand what they're trying to say with the Patriots and struggling there, and they have these issues, and homeboy that has the hot Eric Decker with the hottest wife. Good God, she's amazing.
Oh, does he have a hot wife? I've never seen her.
Oh, Madonna. That kitchen picture of them together. I was like, good God. It's like, I want to keep looking. I want to look past this, but I can't stop looking. But my point is that all teams do this, and they should be doing this. So what I would say, and I think Cody was about to say, is it does depend on the person and the opportunity. But I tell you this, is they're not looking for a wide receiver right now. They're not looking for a linebacker right now. They're looking for an offensive lineman that could potentially step in if need be. Not a starter necessarily. I think they're also, and I just got to wonder, is the tight end position also 100? I mean, we need to know what man hurts. I think there's a lot of, I mean, look, is that he's hurt right now. This is something nobody has talked about that I know of. He's been hurt, but he also hasn't ever played in the NFL, really. He was a rookie last year, correct?
Well, that's all I was about to ask. Hasn't he been on the team for a year or two? I always remember us talking about him and hearing the name, but he never does anything meaningful on field, And what was the other tight end that we let go? He went to Seattle, I think.
Brandon Williams, Swole Bones.
No. The guy that was on our team last year made the big play in the Lions game.
Dixon.
Yeah, Ed Dixon, right? Yeah. Okay. Ed Dixon isn't exactly a world beater. And if you're not beating out Ed Dixon, then to me that kind of says more about you. So I don't know, man. Ian Thomas has showed a lot of promise, to make a dumb rhyme. I'm not so sure that we're not comfortable with just Ian Thomas and Greg Olsen and then having.
But you have to have a third. You have to have a third for kicks on extra points, field goals. They bring in a third. My thing is that you're a little, if Greg Olsen is 30, whatever he is, 34, 33, who knows how old he is?
33, I think.
Yeah, is that you got him, you've got a rookie, and then you got a guy that's hurt. Talk about an unsettled position. To me, that's a giant concern. And not that what we have is problematic. I'm very excited about Ian Thomas. Remarkably excited about him. I got pumped in that Miami game. I've been seeing him get better from week to week. But at the same time, I have not seen Manhurts ever play. Ever.
No.
Like, I mean, maybe I saw him last year, but it's not like he's proven.
Did you even remember seeing him in the preseason? I don't.
Last year?
Anytime.
Right now he's been hurt. He's been out. He's been with that foot injury or whatever.
Yeah, I know he's out right now, but I don't even remember seeing him last year that much.
Yeah, like, so is that, I feel like he was kind of like an Alex Arma situation, is that a lot of people are excited about him. Coaching staff had nice things to say about him, but we never see him. It's a thin group. It's a thin group. So to me, that's where I think this coaching staff looks. I think they're trolling for offensive linemen. I think they're trolling for maybe a tight end. And I think we're actually better at some other positions that we thought were positions of weakness, like the secondary, than we expected going forward. That's where I'm at. Guys, I think that it's 10:39. It's time to get some ice up picks and get the heck out of here. Yeah, it's been a fantastic show. We could. You go on that tight end talk right there. That wasn't planned.
I have more clips that didn't even show, man.
I know. Exactly. We have. I think it's been a great night here on the C3 Panthers podcast on the new platform on Shindig. I've been very excited. I want to encourage everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, not only to smash that thumbs up button, turn your phone portrait mode, because I know if you're watching it the horizontal mode, the landscape, there's no thumbs up button. If you turn it portrait, that sucker is a thumbs up button, and it helps us grow. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks, Moneybags Lawson. We popped his podcast cherry. And it's his first podcast, he said. So good to that. You can't wear white anymore. You can't wear white when you get married now. The other thing is like, look, folks, we want to, this Shindig platform has the opportunity for us to make the most interactive Panthers podcast out there, and to take a show that's really been based on the fan base 100%. You guys have driven this show from top to bottom, from the beginning to the end. The conversation in the YouTube chat has been fantastic from day one, and it only gets better each and every week. We even got we got Cody Lashney, who's the YouTube champ, on the show now. I mean, that shows you how much this thing is driven by you guys. So if you want to get more involved and have your face, your voice, or even just your questions featured more in the show, consider downloading the Shindig app, or I can send you a link where you can join in. I'll start putting that in the show notes. You guys can get even more involved. But guys, let's get the heck out of here and let's ice some mugs up. The ice up segment of the show is where we tell somebody to ice up, to toughen up, to get it together. It's our homage to Steve Smith and the moment he snatched that chain off that fool's face. Aqib Talib Aqib, whatever his name is. Is that fool got the ice up. There's an OG ice up, and now we tell somebody ice up, toughen up. Joe, what you got for us?
All right, Tony. This week, my ice up pick goes to a group that is internationally known for their generosity, for their willingness to help the homeless, the sick, the poor, the needy. They're a wonderful organization when it comes to charity. However, they have a really hard problem distancing themselves from pedophiles. And I'm speaking of the Catholic Church. It's a wonderful religious organization full of wonderful, caring, loving people. However, there are those.
Tony Dunn, who's a bad
Tony
Catholic. I consider myself a bad Catholic, but not that bad.
Within the church, there are those who, they're predators. They prey on the young and the innocent. And the Catholic Church has had a difficult time separating them from the church. They're guilty. They're complicit in that regard. So I'm icing up the Catholic Church with hopes that they will begin to take this as a serious problem and bring it to light instead of trying to keep it in the dark.
Ice up from to the pedophiles and Joe. It's a stain, man. It's a stain on this. Look, I'm Catholic. I believe that also that the church, what I would argue and contend ultimately is that it's a 2,000-year institution that is made and composed of men. And men are flawed, and there are problems within it. It's a giant organization, but there's no room for excuse on this. And that's what look. This is what the ice up pick is for. Cody, what you got for us?
Yeah, man. So I try and put a humorous bent on my ice up picks, but
yeah, that's what we want.
But you know what I'm not gonna do? I'm not gonna force it. If there's just someone that just needs a good old icing up, and today I am icing up Lilly Diabetes. So in case you don't know, Lilly Diabetes, they're a company that offers supplies and all of these different things for diabetes patients. And they were going to sponsor a NASCAR driver by the name of Connor Daly. Well, up until recently, he was gonna have their logo, everything on his car, until they found out that in the past, 10 years before Connor was born, his father used a racial slur. So, literally, talking sins of the father here, they pulled the sponsorship from Connor because of what his father did before he was even born.
Oh my God.
Damn.
I mean, dude, how far does this crap
You gotta
go,
delete
man?
you can't even delete your dad's Twitter account because it didn't exist. You gotta delete like your dad's. I don't even know what you did.
How did they have a record of that, Cody?
It must have been.
You know,
it must have been like in a public setting, reported in the newspaper. But still, you're talking about digging deep. The idea that you go back that far, you're really getting somebody in the newspaper archives to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know apparently he was on a radio interview in the early 1980s, and apparently he had just moved to the United States from Great Britain, and he said something that apparently over there wasn't racist, but it was racist over here. Point being, it doesn't matter. How are you going to blame a man for something his father did? He had absolutely nothing to do with that. That doesn't reflect on who he is as a driver and as a family man. It's all so dumb. So listen to Lilly Diabetes. I'm sure you do great things to people who are very sick with diabetes, but come on, ice up, son. Ice up.
You know the thing. Yeah, that's where it gets like this, where it defies. Look, I'm super liberal on a lot of these issues, right? Like, I'm pretty tough on some of these things when it comes to the liberal side. But like, look, Joey's coming after church. I'm all right with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get these things. I understand. Right? I understand these things. Like, I get it. But the idea that, like, I am overly concerned about internet lynching, what I call internet lynching. And that is this pressure to react to things. And what I would say is that if I dropped a racial slur right now, like, you stupid cracker, it's a racial slur. But I get
But
to
no
say
one
it,
cares.
right?
Yeah, 'cause
I
it's
get to
about
say
white
it,
people.
and it's not about that. Yeah, I don't want to like make this about like, well, I'm trying to say this or that, like, and that racial slur needs to be weighed as the same as like an anti-Semitic comment. But what I'm just saying here is that we don't really buy the authenticity of these things sometimes because of that. Is that like that one is not problematic? And I'm not saying it's like a duel, but I'm just saying this is that like at some point you like got to reset and say, hey, social media is new. You know, anything before the 90s, like we got to just stop looking back and start looking at what you do now. I don't know. But now my ice up pick goes to, and I hate doing it, man. I'm so tired of icing up Donald Trump. Because I'm trying not. I'm trying, bro. I'm trying not to just be like, he's just such a moron. Yeah, he's just such a moron. And this is where I go crazy about today. Is that like I don't even have a problem with him. Like I do have a problem with him. He's just like a complete doofus. But this pictures of him all over the internet with his arms folded. It's hilarious. Like I'm looking at this. It's funny to me, and it's a farce. It's a parody. We got a damn Saturday Night Live episode in Washington D.C. But the thing that I go crazy about is Donald Trump is upset right now that his Google results are negative, and that he is upset that when he Googles his name, that only negative stories come up. And he believes that now Google is part of the fake news. Now, I got a lot of things to say about this. Number one is maybe, just maybe, you had a lot of bad shit going on this week. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe, just maybe you had.
You did.
Right. It wasn't the best week. It wasn't the best week. So that has to negatively impact the news stories. But 100% what we tell all of the planet and all of my students and everybody is that you're overwhelmed with information. You have to learn how to filter and intake it and process it and value these things. But all of a sudden, Donald Trump can't get past his own Wikipedia page. He can't get past the top 5 results. Like if this was a student writing a paper for you and they only submitted a paper where they said like it was the top 5 internet searches based off of this. Like at Donald, I understand the coverage has not been positive. Rightfully so, wrongfully so. You got a lot of fucked up shit been going on, man. And you give it's low hanging fruit, man. It is low hanging fruit. But the idea, dude, you can't get upset with Google. I mean, you can get upset with them, but it's probably the wrong fight to pick. I saw this. I was going to go ahead and say, what was it? That, and Darren Gant beat me to the punch on the joke. But what happens when you're just upset that you Googled your name and it turns out you're an asshole? And I was wondering, and you know what I did? I Googled Darren Gant's name. I was like, maybe he's an asshole. But what I'm just pointing out is that if you Google your shit, if you Google, like, I mean, come on, man. Come on, bro. Ice up. And it's not even a political thing. It's just like, damn, dude. Like, God. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Smash that thumbs up button. Share the podcast with a friend. And follow Cody. Cody, tell them where they can follow you on social media and get in touch with you before next week's show.
You can follow me at Cody Lack, CODYLAC on Twitter. I'm talking about Panthers football, you already know. I'm talking about Clemson Tigers football. College football starting up next weekend, baby. Let's go. I'm so excited football is right around the corner. Or you can talk to me about how stupid Donald Trump is, man. Whatever. I don't care. It's up to you. I'll rap with you, dude.
Joe Riolano, my good old Protestant best friend. I think of this is every. No, it's all right. You know, my favorite. This is my favorite thing is that. So you ever seen The Wire?
Oh yeah.
All right, so the main character, the main cop in The Wire is what is his name? He's a drunk. He's a super drunk Irish dude, and the cop guy. And he busts this party up, and like it's this high-end ritzy party. Goes up to the bartender, and he says, "Let me get a Jameson." And the guy said, "We don't have Jameson. We got Bushmills." And I like Bushmills. Like I'm down on both of those. And he goes, "That's Protestant whiskey." And the guy goes, he says, that's Protestant whiskey. He says, "That's what we got." He said, "All right, I'll take it." McNulty. McNulty. He said, like, it was like this, is that his Catholicism dictated his choice until there was no liquor. Right. And he's like, and it's like, just fine. Give me the Protestant liquor. Joey, where can they follow you?
Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Joe Riolano.
Simple and short, sweet. Man, the C3 podcast is not simple and short, but it is sweet. It's almost 2 hours long. And guys, you know what? Like Joey said, we can talk all night long. We appreciate you being with us this evening, and we'll check you out next week.
Keep pounding.